Welcome to There Is a Method to the Madness. My name is Rob Maxwell, and I'm an exercise physiologist and personal trainer. I'm the owner of Maxwell's Fitness Programs, and I've been in business since 1994, trying to help everybody get more fit, including myself. Today's episode is all about the MaxFit Games that we're putting on September 18th. Which is a Sunday at the Holly Hill Riverside Park. It's a great and different venue this year. We wanted to get outside and have an opportunity to use some of the pull-up stands and all that fun stuff they have over there. And that's why we moved over there. It's going to be great. And I had a question earlier in the week, and the question was that they were looking forward to the MaxFit Games. They had participated before, and they wanted to know a little bit about how to prepare. All right, so that's a great question, and if you're not going to do the games or have no interest in the games, I think you will still appreciate this podcast because the answer is specificity. There are 7 principles to physical fitness, and specificity is one of them. And basically that means that you need to train specifically to what you are going to do or what you want done. For example, if you want to get stronger in your upper body, you have to lift weights with your upper body. If you get even more specific and say, well, I want to improve my bench press like many young men do, or I want to improve my squat like many young ladies do that play sports in high school or whatever, then you're going to have to actually utilize the bench press and utilize the squat. That sounds a little bit like common sense, but it's not for everybody. A lot of people believe that there is a big generality in training, and there really isn't. Now, there's a generality in getting more fit. In other words, if you ride your bike and you're a cyclist and you do a lot of cycling, well, in general, your cardiorespiratory system is going to be in very good condition if you stay at it, and your cycling is going to be in very good condition, but that's not going to necessarily transfer over to running. So a lot of people think, well, I run really well, I should be able to bike really well. And not that you can't get good at both, but the idea is you have to train specifically for a number of reasons, which I really can't get into in this brief podcast today, but there are a number of systems that need to be trained for there to be the carryover that you're looking for: the cardiorespiratory system, the muscular system, the endocrine system, the lactate system. Like, all these systems need to be trained specifically. So the first answer is specificity. You have to train specific to the events that you want to get better at. And the events this year are fun, as always. It's running, not very long. It's a mile for the adults and one time around for the kids under 12, and that is 0.3 of a mile. There's pull-ups for the adults. There's push-ups for the adults. There's burpees for the adults. There's step-up for the adults. There's bodyweight squats for the adults. There's tire flip for the adults, and there's sit-ups for the adults. Now for the kids, as I said, there's a brief little run. There's also modified push-ups. There are hangs, there are sit-ups, there are mountain climbers, there are jumping jacks. There is some shuttle run type stuff for coordination and agility, and a bunch of fun things. The idea behind the kids event is to simply get kids moving and finding fun in physical fitness and having a good time and making sure that they're out there being active, and then for their activity, of course, a lot of praise and gifts and things like that, because you want to reinforce anybody that you're trying to mold their behavior. And it's really a hats off to the parents that really want their kids to come out, and there's a big demand this year to have a kids race because the parents wanted the kids involved with them. So it's going to be a fun little thing. The adults are going to race first, and then the kids are going to have their little mini competition, and it's going to be a good day. So now a little bit on why I chose these events. So there's 5Ks, of course, that have been around forever, 3.1 mile runs, and then there's 10Ks, half marathons, and yada, 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 marathons and ultra marathons. There's plenty of events for cardiorespiratory. There's triathlons for people that want to add in the swim and the bike, and then there's duathlon, and so there's a lot of cardiorespiratory / endurance events out there. And then there's some hidden strength events out there, like the Senior Games, which we're hosting, has a powerlifting competition for the weights, and there's bodybuilding contests, but there's just not a lot of events around that tie fitness together. And as I think everybody that knows me knows that, like, I'm big on overall physical fitness. I think we should all work to hone in our cardiorespiratory system to be as fit as it can be for us, for each individual. And we should be as strong as we can for each individual, not measuring ourselves necessarily against other people unless we're doing it for fun. But we really should have as much endurance and as much strength and as much good cardio as we can. So I like to tie it all together. I like to compete in those separate events. Don't get me wrong. I like to do running events. I've done powerlifting events. I've done bodybuilding. I like to do triathlons. All those things are great. There's a lot of them. We want to always do something a little bit different. That's the idea. There's CrossFitters that are out there that do all kinds of different fitness events, and that's great too. So we kind of combine a little bit of what they do with a little running and with a little more general fitness stuff. Like, I like to take a lot of the events from the military academies because, look, they know how to really get people fit, and some of the activities they do are some of the best out there for overall body conditioning. So we take some of theirs, for example, the push-ups and the pull-ups and, even the burpees. So we pick those for that reason. So the run is pretty obvious why. That works the cardiorespiratory system. Pull-ups can be pull-ups or chin-ups. Pull-ups is just an overhand grip. Chin-ups is an underhand grip. But there's really no better strength-to-weight ratio exercise out there than a pull-up or a chin-up. Now, for the women, not being sexist by any means, but there is differences in upper body strength, and it's been measured to be women technically are 50% less strong in the upper body than men. So to make it equitable, it's going to be a hang, which they use for the kids, which means that you pull your chin up over the bar and you hold it as long as you can. But there's not any real better exercise for the upper body out there than those two, because it really proves that you can pull your upper body up. Now, push-ups is a great pushing exercise. Men are going to do standard size style. Women are going to do modified. A burpee is just a good little calisthenic. That's an overall body exercise done properly. And I have to stress, everything here is going to be done properly. We're going to be very strict. As promoters, you would be amazed, like what we deal with even in the little competitions like these are. I mean, you get people like just not doing them right, and then maybe even worse than that is the people complaining that people aren't doing them right. It's like, we get it. So we had to pick some of the exercises based on how the exercises are done, meaning are they cut and dry or is there some ambiguity involved? Because if there is, we want to get rid of it. The pull-up is the only real challenging one left out of that, because sometimes people think they're going all the way down and they're not. But for example, we had to take out some of the jumps because it would be a question of are they jumping or stepping. So it's like, okay, none of that. So everything's going to be strict. The step up is a exercise where you step up and down, a very functional exercise. It's going to be about an 18-inch step, so that's a pretty good step. And all these exercises besides the run are going to be as many as you can do in 1 minute. And we are going to be strict on form and say no rep if the person didn't do it right. Then we're going to do the squat, and the squat is going to be down to 90 degrees, and you got to lock out all the way up. And yeah, that's it. That's the squat. You just got to make sure you get all the way down and all the way up. Now, in training, we don't necessarily like to say lockout, but again, we're just trying to quantify how everybody's doing it is fair, because there's been some complaints in the past, just people bickering. We don't like that. This is all for good and good causes and all that kind of stuff. So parallel to lockout tire flips, we wanted to add in some fun and some power, because it takes power to flip a tire, and to flip a tire you need to have some deadlift strength. So we're doing that. The tire is very manageable for both sexes. The kids are going to have a mini tire. I forgot to say that. Literally a little car tire. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be cute watching them flip that bad boy. Then we're going to have sit-ups. Are sit-ups a great core exercise? No, but again, they're easy to measure. We'll hold the feet, and you're going to come up and cross your elbows over your knees. So how to train for these? The great question, specificity. To get better at that run, I would be running short distances. You got to practice doing some quarter miles in the mile. Pull-ups, I would do as many as I could 3 times a week. Hangs, the same thing. Push-ups, I would do anywhere from 1 to 3 sets, as many as I can, 2 to 3 times a week. Same with the burpees, and I would always practice good form. Step-ups, again, I would do 2 to 3 sets of as many as I could, 2 to 3 times a week. Squats, I would do air squats, meaning body weight squats, and some loaded squats, so I get used to a little bit of load, and that way when I'm doing my body weight, it feels a little bit easier. Tire flips, I would do something like maybe 3 sets of 5 flips 2 to 3 times a week. And then sit-ups, even though, again, it's not the greatest exercise for the core, that's what we're using for a measurement of the core. I would get somebody to hold my feet, and I would do 3 sets of 25 2 to 3 times a week. You could do all these exercises all in one day. I could tell you I've been doing that with a couple of my clients who are doing the games, and they're absolutely spent afterwards. Or you can break it up. But the bottom line is, to get better at any of these activities, you got to specifically do the activities. All right? I want to thank our sponsors, Jonathan and Lynn Gilden at the Gilden Group at Realty Pros. I'm telling you right now, they're absolutely the best. I vouch for them. They're my agents. They're the bomb. They can be reached at 386-451-2412 or thegildengroup.com. And you know what? I'm also sitting here looking at my other sponsor, and I'm telling you what, I'm looking at this feta salad and adding in the lentil soup. I mean, I love vegetarian dishes, and these places, man, they're just great. And they are the Istanbul Turkish Mediterranean cuisine, and they can be reached and located at 488 South Young Street, Ormond Beach, Florida. Until next time, be Max Fit and be Max Well.